thought I'd give you a little change of venue. It's a lovely mid-September day, so here we are, in the backyard. Hat's a little tall, isn't it? Hobson's choice. You can live forever in perfect health and clarity, but it requires a frequent dose of the most dangerous substance in the universe, blood leaf. Miss one dose and you dissolve in sheer agony. Blood leaf can only be obtained from an alternate universe with severely controlled access, which means the dealers own you. Still willing? Well, then perhaps you better read this book and explore all of the implications. Horizon is the name of the alternate universe, a true flat earth of lands and oceans that stretch forever in all directions. It can only be accessed through a gate at a halfway point, essentially an island called, ironically enough, Avalon. Unfortunately, the gate manifests the deep-seated neurosis of anyone approaching it. In fact, the first scientist who got close enough to it began having a conversation with a giant version of the teddy bear he had lost as a child. A teddy bear that has become the friend of God. And then the scientist disappeared. Perhaps he sits on the teddy bear's lap. Who knows? So that this situation wouldn't repeat, people called dreamers were shanghaied into providing an approach to the gate that wouldn't end up in some deep-seated neurotic nightmare like, say, Godzilla as Emperor of the World. Dreamers are people of hyper-empathy who are imprisoned under the influence of superior drugs, keeping them blissful and happy and unlikely to manifest Emperor Godzilla. They are mind slaves kept on board the ships used to approach the gate, but don't worry, their families are richly provided for. Now, I thought all of this was enough of a mind-blowing concept to merit its own novel. But all of this, neurosis gates and midpoint islands and slave dreamers, is blithely tossed off in about the first few paragraphs, and all I gotta say is, wow, what a great way to handle this completely bizarre world shift so that Bingham could get to what he was truly interested in: immortality as a capital crime. Good on you, mate. In fact, this novel does this a lot. Throws trilogy-long concepts at you in about 1 or 2 pages, and then goes on as if nothing has happened while you're still reeling. There's even a point, almost mid-sentence, where we simply shift hundreds of years into the future or into a completely different dimension, I mean, who knows, while dumping all of the previous characters and resuming the narrative with brand new ones. And it freaking works. Airplane. Good on you, mate. In fact, it works so well that an info dump about 2/3 of the way through becomes a jarring interruption of the style and method, and was probably included because some editor or agent got frantic over all the expectations required of the reader to stay open and ready for anything. They always underestimate us, don't they? There are moments of irritation in this book, especially when you first encounter that blithe dispensing of mind-blowing concepts, then segue into the next mind-blowing concept with barely a pause. I mean, what's with the casted and the fodder? Frankly, I think there are at least 3 other giant novels hidden within this one, and I'd love to see them as subchapters of the main story. So what is the main story? Michael Janus is being transported from Earth to New Civ, the first settlement built on Horizon, to face trial for treason, more or less. By introducing Bloodleaf to Earth, he has effectively eliminated the concept of the soul, which I thought 19th century philosophers had already done. But it's more likely he's being tried for daring to introduce a new technology, concept, marijuana strain, into society without permission of the elites. I guess that's treason of some kind, at least it seems to be these days. Michael is to be kept alive in prison on Horizon through force-feeding a Bloodleaf so he can be an example to us all. Forever. Michael has to consume some Bloodleaf every few days or so, or his skin will fall off. While taking a dose on the prison ship, he telepathically links to the dreamer assigned to the ship. Did I mention that Bloodleaf, in addition to granting almost godlike health and lifespan, also gives you about 10 minutes of telepathy? No? Well, it does. Just think how handy that would be. You surreptitiously chew a leaf on your deathbed and listen to your relatives' thoughts just before you sit up and say, "I feel fine." Might affect that final draft of the will. Anyway, Michael uses the telepathy to locate and free the dreamer, who promptly disappears, unleashing the thoughts of the 200 to 300 people on the ship, and holy Hannah, the things that show up. The ship is wrecked as a result, and Michael and 3 others survive to wash up on the Avalon beach, where Michael is immediately kidnapped by a billionaire whose wife is addicted to Bloodleaf and who wants Michael to show him how to grow it on his South American plantation. Drug dealers can't live with them, can't outlive them. Bloodleaf is so called because it requires someone to bleed on it before it becomes active. Michael has to do just that to get his supply of Bloodleaf sprouted on the drug dealer's farm, which you can imagine makes for a rather unpleasant cultivation. But it takes hold, and soon Bloodleaf is available to everyone, just like Sensimilla. But instead of the munchies, you get eternal life. And just when you get a handle on all this, you are suddenly dropped into the middle of a war between grippers and anarchists and the Empire on a planet called Avena and Earth. Huh? Just stay with it. Old guy here.